Happy July 4th week. Are you making fun of me?
No, I wasn't. I was just trying
Jordan,
to get into it.
Okay, so I have with me David Lincoln Hoker, one of our interns, Jordan Richmond, one of our worship he is you're the worship pastor. Jordan, let me ask you a question.
Sir.
Why did you remove the American flag from our sanctuary?
Did I remove the American flag from the sanctuary?
That's like
I had to think there for a second.
Everyone in our church was like,
All of a sudden I was thinking like,
no, he did not.
we do have an American
It
flag
is
in
a
our
very
sanctuary. We walk past it every single week, and I hardly take notice.
We have an American flag in our sanctuary. We have a Christian flag in our sanctuary.
Notifying the country of
our Judeo-Christian values. That being said, it is a controversial topic. What we're talking about today is how far is too far? Should churches celebrate Independence Day? I am very much in the camp of yes, it is fine for churches to celebrate Independence Day. I don't have a problem with the American flag in the sanctuary. I know some of you listening to this, watching this may disagree. That's fine. That's part of the reason we're doing these episodes. But we are doing our Real Talk and Hot Takes series.
The hottest takes.
Well, we might as well. We might as well jump in.
You have a hot take, David?
I have the feeling I'm about to.
Yeah.
All right. He's warming up.
Yeah, no, so anyway, we're doing this as a summer series to keep our church engaged. If you are watching, you're not part of our church, hey, we're glad you are tuning in. We've had a lot of fun with these episodes. Some of the previous ones have been a little more controversial, so go back and watch them if you haven't done that yet. But today, since it is July 4th week, this is kind of a special episode. We've been talking about our covenant throughout this series. Worship, grow, serve, and give are the 4 points that we've made so far. So go back and listen to those first set of episodes. We've got more about our covenant coming up in future episodes. But we're going to take a little break, do a special within a special. This is a special series. This is a special episode within the special series. All right, Jordan. How far is too far?
God bless our gracious King.
Wait, no.
Oh, sorry.
No king but the Lord.
Yes.
No creed but the Bible. We're Baptist.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
I didn't know we were suddenly Englishmen again.
Yeah. You lead worship. You've been a part of these services.
Yes.
There is a point at which it goes too far.
Yeah.
What does that look like?
Well, so for me, it goes too far when celebrating our country is conflated with worship of God. And I realize that's completely subjective, and everybody has a different perspective on this. I've been a part of gigantic churches where dudes with AR-15s are rappelling from the catwalks, and 100-foot flags are being
confetti
raised
cannons,
and pyrotechnics, and all sorts of craziness. And it's cool; it's a spectacle, but it makes you kind of wonder, like, what role? And here's where it goes back to for me. When the Christian church kind of took over Rome, and we had Roman Catholicism, Christianity also became somewhat Romanized.
Yeah, we can thank Constantine for a lot of the conflation. Yes.
Exactly. So it's like, well, what role does empire have within the church? And let's face it, we are a modern day empire. We are the largest world empire. Now, I do believe that we are blessed of God, but should the church, within our time that is explicitly scheduled for worship, should we be doing the Pledge of Allegiance? Should we be singing the Star Spangled Banner? And I gotta say, I do get kind of iffy when this day rolls around each year.
Yeah, I think that there are certain practices that are iffy. They're borderline. I could argue them either way. Pledge of Allegiance being one of them. I have no problem pledging allegiance to.
I love my country.
Yeah, no problem with that. But in a worship service, what does that look like? It's to me, that's where you start getting into that border territory,
right?
Of should we be doing this or not?
But we do exist in a context, right? We live in this country, and Scripture would tell us to honor our leaders and to pray for our leaders and to love our neighbors, and part of that is celebrating who we are as a country,
and especially those who've served our country
exactly,
and sacrifice so much so that we can be free. I do think it's important for the church to recognize that freedom, because freedom is a key concept in the Bible. And for those
Absolutely.
who would sacrifice themselves for the sake of political freedom, ideological freedom, freedom of thought, freedom of religion, freedom of speech, that to me is a very big deal. I'm, being a Baptist, I'm very big
You're a
on
Baptist?
religious liberty.
I had no idea.
That concept is a Baptist concept. Do your research. All right, David.
The hottest take.
The hottest thing. So you are a faithful believer in our church, intern on our team, and you also are somebody who loves your country. Balance this for us. What's your take on churches and celebrating Independence Day?
So fundamentally, the nation is our inheritance and a blessing given to us by God and given to us by our ancestors. The fourth commandment comes to mind, like we are to honor our father and mother, and that extends back in time farther than just the immediate generation. Also, our countrymen are our neighbors, and we're to love our neighbors, and we're to be good stewards of all of this that God has placed us either within or in charge of. So I think it is good for Christians to be zealous for and proper stewards of the nation, which is given to us as a blessing from God. The thing regarding Independence Day is where this could go too far is if the nation becomes an idol and it becomes more important than God. Like if you have people with AR-15s rappelling from the catwalk,
Oh, cool.
and that becomes the focus of like
By the way, that's what
point,
you're going to be doing next Sunday. We put our interns through
I
it.
told you this, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can shoot,
yeah.
right? You know how to shoot.
Oh yes, but anyway,
There'll be blanks. There'll be blanks.
yeah, like when that becomes like the focus and spectacle, then we have a problem about where our priorities are and wrongly ordered, where God is not the center. But that is not to say that Christians should just abandon fealty to the country entirely, and Christians should be very active in the nation, advancing God's will for it.
Yeah,
So I guess we can go home now.
No, that was great. That's just why we want David on this episode. Like, he's such a great thinker. Thank you for that perspective. I think it's a very good perspective. And you being a younger person, not of my generation. I'm a millennial, and I'm the old guy
Old
now.
man.
And you're a millennial, and you're the old
I'm
guy
right there.
now. So here we are. We've got some great young people in our church. Thank you, David, for that perspective. What I'm hearing from both of you, and I'm just going to kind of summarize this, and it's always dangerous to generalize people's thoughts, but what I'm hearing from both of you is when spectacle replaces kingdom, we're in a bad place. When the spectacle of the celebration replaces, the kingdom of God and the worship of who God is, we've kind of crossed the line. And as you said earlier, that is a pretty subjective place. For some churches, the line will be different than other churches, and I'm certainly not a relativist. I believe in absolute truth, and there are things that are right and wrong. But I think in this case, it can be dependent upon the church, the history of the church, the culture of the church, the location of the church. I mean, goodness, if you are in a military town, that's your mission field. Like you need to push into that. You don't need to pull away from it.
Can I counteract myself? So,
like a good worship pastor, yes.
As I should.
I'm going to argue with myself.
Yes, as I do often. So my mom was telling me about when she was young. Like there was a Bible on her teacher's desk. They would pray every day. They would do the Pledge of Allegiance. It was very much Americana, and the Christianity was a part of the active culture. And slowly but surely, that has eroded away. And I don't think it's done. I don't think it's eroded away because we've done a better job of focusing on kingdom over culture. I think it's been nefarious. I think it's been harmful to our culture. So then, should Christians then be, in David's words, more zealous to instantiate things like that into our culture? So therefore, is it better for us on the whole to sorry, I was having a call come in. I should have silenced that. But for us as a church, as a kingdom people, to focus on our country as a blessing from God. I would also say I definitely notice a difference between the older generation and the younger generation in terms of how much they expect around Independence Day. So, in our traditional service, if I don't do more patriotic stuff, I'll hear about it.
Hmm.
Whereas at our more modern services, they almost don't care. Like they're okay with whatever.
I think people care. They're just less institutionalized about it.
Okay, that's fair.
I think that they do care. It's just not that celebration is not an expectation of the church that is the institution. And
Mhm.
I know the church is an organism. I know it's alive, but there are still institutional things about our church. So I just think expectations are different. Loyalty is the same,
Oh yeah.
and I think people care just as much. It's just expectations are different, and that's certainly a generational thing as well.
Well, I
Is
definitely believe
managing those
whether
expectations.
and whether or not we're doing the Pledge of Allegiance on a given Sunday morning, I do believe, like, when I look at our church body, it's like these are, by and large, marriages that are staying together, that are having children, that are fostering and caring for their neighbor. Like, they're doing the things that we want to see our countrymen do, and I'm grateful for that.
Yeah. So, David, what are your expectations? So, like, if you were to, I mean, I know that you're a part of our church and you're part of our team, but let's just say you were you happen to be on vacation, you were attending another church with your family, you walk in, it's July 4th week. What are you expecting?
So I've never been one that overly values like pageantry and spectacle. Like I don't like need to like see like a bunch of American flags and a bunch of like patriotic songs to like get the message that like you love the country.
Hmm.
Those things can be good, but like I um I guess my expectation would just like for me I would be okay with like what we have with the more modern services. My parents, on the other hand, would be the ones who would like expect more. Like they want to see a flag, they want to hear like patriotic songs. Um, my thing is all of that rings very hollow if the church is not doing what it should be doing in broader society. Like we can have like the spectacle, and we can have the pageantry, but if you go outside the church door and the country is on fire and no one is honoring God, and we live in an anti-Christian society, which I believe we do, um, you have a problem there. Like, how much do you really love your country if you're just going to sit back and say, "Well, this world really isn't my home, and I don't really need to change anything about this situation."
So we should be incredibly patriotic, but not necessarily focused on the spectacle of
Well,
our
Yeah,
yeah,
I think
patriotism.
the display is less important than our actions as a church. We need
that's
to be
exactly what I was about
involved.
to say. It's symbol versus influence. That's what he's getting at. Is symbolism is great and spectacle is great, and these patriotic services are in many ways symbolic. They're
Mhm.
symbolic of loyalty and I love my country and patriotism. But if you're not actively working to influence the culture, that's a major problem. If you're all symbol and no influence, I think that's where the church has really struggled. And we play into spectacle internally within our own churches as if that's influence, and it's not. And I totally get what you're saying, but I also don't want to diminish the symbolic nature of worship
Well,
and the things that we
symbols,
do.
yeah, symbols are how we retain meaning over time, and the traditions, even with our own family, how we celebrate Christmas, how we celebrate different holidays. So there is value in symbol. So I guess symbols just change over time. The heart of it's what's important.
Last word, David. Go for it.
Hottest take.
All right, so if you want the hottest take, so there will always be an operative ideology that runs society, and if it's not a Christian one, it will be an evil one. It will be um, propagating the teachings of demons. It will be um, like what Paul talks about in the end of Ephesians, like the powers, the spiritual wickedness. So we have a duty as Christians to influence the culture of our nation and to like make our conduct should honor Christ, our laws should honor Christ, and the nation should not allow evil to persist in our lands. That's what we as a church should be working towards.
So there you heard it.
That's a hot take.
Confetti cannons.
Yep.
And
Repelling AR-15,
AR-15s, or you're evil. That's it.
That's what I heard.
No. Thanks, David. Thanks, Jordan. That's all the time we have for today. For this week's episode of Real Talk and Hot Takes, this has been a lot of fun. We have a doozy next week. My executive pastor is going to be on the episode talking about tithing. I wonder what he might say.
I don't know.
We'll have to
tune in.
We'll have to tune in. We'll see you guys there.